Divine Wealth Secret Revealed, the 12 Miraculous Lessons Abdullah shared with Neville Goddard. In the heart of a quaint English village, a buzzing excitement flowed through the air, as the historic church brimmed with families seeking something beyond the mundane. While some came just for the comfort of routine, others left with fervent hope, eager for divine intervention. On this particular Sunday, Sarah, a devoted single mother, knelt barefoot on the cool stone floor, her spirit overwhelmed by the weight of financial struggles. Filled with desperation, she whispered quiet prayers, her heart heavy yet yearning for a miracle. As the scent of burning candles wafted through the nave, Sarah's thoughts slipped into a swirling vortex of doubt and faith. She recalled the inscrutable wisdom of Abdullah, the elderly man she'd met during a prayer gathering at the old sanctuary, who had lived through miracles that had left others spellbound. His words spoke of 12 miraculous lessons, transformative truths that danced around her like ethereal whispers. It felt as though hidden mysteries would unfold under the flickering glow, illuminating her dark path. Imagine, he had said in that melodic voice, a life filled with divine abundance, where every need is met, delivered straight from God's hands. With each lesson he shared one of unshakable faith, another of joyous gratitude. Sarah felt like a vessel, filled with hope yet battling the gnawing weight of reality. What if it could change everything? But then life crashed back in. Just days later, the threat of eviction loomed closer, casting a long shadow over her feeble light. She wept as she searched, seeking employment, any flicker of relief, but each rejection plunged her deeper into turmoil. Even as she lifted her voice in prayer, it felt heavy and tangled, like an echo against the stone walls. The promise of Abdullah's lesson lingered at the edges of her heart but remained just out of reach. Was this promise mere illusion? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In a moment bathed in quiet desperation, her metallic keys jingled sharply on the table as she pondered the unbearable pressure. Just then, a knock from next door broke the silence. It was Mrs. Thompson, an elderly neighbor known for her kindness, her arms cradling a casserole, warm and steaming. "I thought you might need this," she said, eyes glistening with compassion. It wasn't just food, it was a lifeline, a symbol of divine abundance, the very lesson Abdullah had proclaimed. In that extraordinary moment, Sarah realized it wasn't about grand gestures but the small miracles that healed her weary heart. Tears streamed down her face, an inexplicable peace enveloped her. Could this be the spark of a new reality? As the whispers of the 12 lessons churned in her mind like leaves caught in a fierce wind, anticipation bubbled within her. Yet even as hope began fluttering forward, deeper questions stirred. What did it truly mean to trust and fully embrace divine guidance? The journey of faith had opened a door, and in its wake, Sarah stood on the brink of a spiritual adventure that promised to reshape her very essence. Its next chapter beckoning, twinkling in the distance like stars in the night sky, leading her closer to the divine revelation waiting to unfold. As Sarah stood at the edge of her newfound hope, warmth from the casserole seeped through the air, mingling with the scent of incense still lingering in her heart. The day began to glow around her, and for the first time in weeks, she felt the murky fog of despair lift slightly, revealing glimpses of possibility. Mrs. Thompson lingered at the threshold, her kind smile illuminating the room. "You're not alone, you know. We're all here for each other." Her words wrapped around Sarah like a gentle embrace. In that moment, Sarah recognized the silent web of community, a reflection of the divine abundance Abdullah had spoken about. It wasn't just about material wealth, it was the wealth of relationships, the richness of love and support that surrounded her. She invited Mrs. Thompson in, and they settled by the table, sharing stories over the steaming casserole. As laughter mingled with the scent of spices, Sarah's heart felt lighter. Perhaps the financial challenges were just a chapter, a test on her journey towards understanding what truly mattered. The small miracles had begun to show themselves, and with each shared moment, she felt her spirit renewed. Suddenly, a flicker of inspiration surged within her. The lessons of Abdullah began to rise from the depths of memory, a treasure trove waiting to be explored. Joyous gratitude, she whispered, embracing the warmth in her chest. Every smile, every laugh, every gesture of kindness felt like threads being woven into the fabric of her life, stitching together the patchwork of her struggles into something beautiful. After Mrs. Thompson left, Sarah reflected on those lessons that had felt distant before. What would happen if I truly believed? She mused aloud, her voice trembling with excitement. As she closed her eyes, the flickering candlelight danced behind her eyelids. Each lesson rushed forward, as though calling out to her with urgency. Lesson 1, Believe in Abundance, whispered the voice of Abdullah in her mind. Lesson 2, Anchor your faith in gratitude. Sarah opened her eyes and took a deep breath, filling her chest with the essence of her surroundings. I will embrace this, she declared, her voice steady. It wasn't enough to seek, she would embody these lessons in her daily life. Days turned into a week as Sarah embraced each lesson wholeheartedly. She began to write letters of gratitude to those who had supported her, even if just with a smile. Surprisingly, responses began trickling in offers of help, job leads, even donations towards her rent. Each interaction glimmered like tiny stars in her dueling universe of hope and fear. Anderson, the proprietor of the local shop, offered her a position working a few hours a week. You've got spirit, Sarah. We need that energy around here, he said, handing her the details with a warm smile. A new rhythm blossomed in her life as she started working, none too glamorous but filled with life, laughter, and divine connections. She met others who were expressed and challenged by their own burdens, yet together they formed a radiant bond, weaving empathy and support into their shared humanity. However, the deeper truth was still stirring within her. Each day, as she stood in the shop, she noticed moments where her faith wavered, replaced by uncertainty. Those lingering shadows of fear reminded her that while prayers were offered and blessings received, real transformation demanded something more. What was it that truly anchored her faith? Was it merely the act of receiving, or was it the deeper connection with the divine, the understanding that everything was unfolding for her growth? And so, with each step she took along this newfound path, Sarah sensed she was being prepared for something greater. The stirring winds of change danced around her, beckoning her forward. What lay beyond this threshold of faith? She could hear the whispers of the universe, hinting at the profound journey that awaited her. The promise of Abdullah's lessons still shimmered in her heart. If the small miracles were unfolding, what would happen in the face of larger trials? The question loomed, enticing her spirit to venture forth into the unknown. Sarah awoke to the soft light of morning, sunlight filtering through her curtains, creating warm patterns on her walls. Each ray felt like a promise, an invitation to step deeper into her new life. She stretched, taking a moment to breathe in the stillness, relishing the clean slate that lay before her. With her heart swelling from hope, she remembered Abdullah's lessons. Believe in abundance. Anchor your faith in gratitude. As if summoned by her thoughts, the loud knock on her door startled her. Opening the door, she found Mrs. Thompson standing there, a basket filled with fresh produce in her hands. Good morning, dear. I thought you might like some vegetables for your next casserole, she exclaimed, her eyes twinkling with kindness. Sarah's heart fluttered. Here it was again, another tangible reminder of support, a gentle nudge from the universe confirming she wasn't alone. Thank you so much. This means the world to me, she replied, accepting the basket with trembling hands. As they shared a moment together, Sarah could feel encouragement soaking into her spirit. More than just produce, it was a testament to the abundance around her. Each carrot and tomato held a whisper of community, love, and divine provision. Just remember, dear, Mrs. Thompson said, her voice lowering to a conspiratorial tone, sometimes abundance comes in ways we least expect. Look for it in new places. With those words, she gave Sarah's shoulder a gentle squeeze before leaving Sarah to ponder their weight. Inspired, Sarah decided to explore this notion further. She stepped into the shop with a determination that felt almost electric. Each face that greeted her was more than a customer, they were a reflection of her growing network of connected souls. With newfound joy, she engaged with them, listening, learning, sharing pieces of her story in return. As she wrapped up her shift that evening, a thought danced in her mind. What if she were to host a small gathering, an evening of sharing stories and supporting one another in faith? The idea lit up her heart, brilliantly brightening the shadows of uncertainty. However, the doubts soon crept in. Who would come? What if no one shows up? What if? Sarah wrestled with the inner critic, her spirit wavering for a moment. But Abdullah's voice echoed within her, "Anchor your faith in gratitude." She realized that her yearning to gather was an act of faith in herself and her community. Taking a deep breath, she reached for her phone. She typed out a message, sharing her vision of a cozy get-together for anyone who needed a space to connect, cry, or celebrate. Pressing send, she felt a rush of exhilaration. It was done. Days passed, and with each sunset she considered the gathering. Faces swelled in her mind, each representing a thread of the tapestry she was weaving. She prepared, baking, arranging the space, allowing her heart to fill with anticipation. The night finally arrived. Nervous energy fluttered within her. One by one, guests trickled in, smiles and hugs lighting up the room. They bonded over casseroles and shared laughter, creating conversations that flowed like a gentle stream. It felt alive, vibrant with the energy of hope and trust. As they sat together, Sarah broke the silence with heartfelt words. "I believe in abundance," she declared, feeling the weight of her journey lift, "and it's in moments like this that I can truly see it." A hush fell upon the group, each person absorbing that truth. It was a soft but powerful reminder that faith is often shared, mirrored in the hearts of others. As they shared stories, tears flowed freely, and laughter echoed, something transformed in the room. Each story was a miracle, a scraped knee healed, a job found, a friendship rekindled. Sarah felt enveloped in a warm glow. But just then, a knock at the door interrupted their gathering, and as she turned the handle, her heart raced. Who came at this hour? Did she dare hope it would be news she yearned for, the miraculous kind of abundance that awaited her? With breath held tight, she opened the door, not knowing that this moment would change everything. Standing at the threshold, Sarah gasped. It was a tall figure cloaked in deep shadows, yet his presence radiated an unmistakable warmth. The dim light illuminated a pair of eyes that sparkled with wisdom and kindness. "Good evening, Sarah," he said gently. "May I come in?" She stepped aside, her heart thumping like a mighty drum. The room, filled with laughter moments before, now felt heavy with an electric anticipation. As he entered, the spark seemed to spread, igniting the very air around them. "Thank you," he said, gazing at the assembly now paused in their conversations, curiosity etched on their faces. Each guest sensed the importance of this moment. The stranger's energy was soothing yet powerful, wrapping them in a cocoon of divine possibility. "I've come to share a message that echoes through time, a revelation that touches the very core of your lives." Sarah's breath quickened. Could this be the abundance she had longed for? She instinctively moved closer, her heart open, ready for what he would unveil. With a soft smile, he began, "You gather not just for nourishment of body, but for the nourishment of soul. You are resources of light, each one of you, capable of igniting change in this world. There are truths that bind us together, truths that enable us to manifest the life we seek." As he spoke, Sarah felt each word wash over her, cleansing the doubts that had crept in. Abdullah's teachings showed up in her mind. Belief, gratitude, and community formed a holy trinity of divine abundance. The man continued, "What is abundance, but the overflow of love shared amongst one another? It is not merely in material possessions, but in kindness, joy, and connection." He glanced around the room, locking eyes with several guests. "Each story you shared tonight is another brushstroke on the canvas of your lives, creating a beautiful tapestry of hope. You inspire each other. You hold within you the power to uplift one another in incredible ways." A wave of understanding swept through the room. Each person, once part of a simplistic meal, now became part of a grand divine narrative. Sarah felt tears brim in her eyes. She thought of her casserole, her gathering a small offering that had blossomed into something magnificent. The man spoke again, his voice resonating with conviction. Remember, abundance comes not from what you own, but from how much you are willing to give. In faith, you shall receive. The outer walls of the room seemed to shimmer with a golden hue, an urgent reminder of all that was available to them. As the guests absorbed this divine oracle, Sarah could see transformations occurring, dreams rekindled, fears dissipating. Just as Sarah thought to ask him about his name, he raised a hand, cutting through her thoughts. Each of you has an abundance of gifts. Seek within yourselves, you are the miracle. The answers are not only outside but within your own hearts. His words hung in the air, tasting of honey and sunlight. As he turned to leave, he paused and added, "Tonight is just the beginning. A path has been laid before you all. Trust in the unfolding. Your spirits will soon guide you to a newfound treasure, but you must remain vigilant and receptive." And with that, he stepped back into the shadows from which he came, leaving behind an air of mystery. The guests stirred, exchanging glances filled with wonder, hearts now ignited by hope and possibility. "What is our next step?" someone asked, breaking the silence that had enveloped the room. Sarah felt a thrill run through her. The air was charged with potential, and she knew this was only the beginning. But uneasy questions floated in her mind. Did they truly possess the strength to uncover the miracles meant for them? What awaited them on this journey of faith? As they took a moment to digest the evening, Sarah sensed a profound shift, a promise of adventure ahead. The night had revealed the mysteries of abundance, and with it came the promise of divine encounters yet to unfold. The room buzzed with unspoken thoughts as the guests pondered the stranger's words. Sarah felt a flicker of purpose in her heart. There was something undeniably sacred in the air, like the gentle whisper of faith urging them forward. She closed her eyes, taking a moment to absorb the energy around her, the miraculous shift in atmosphere. "Do you feel it?" she murmured, almost to herself. But her words awakened others. Heads nodded, and soft gasps filled the space, a chorus of affirmation rising like incense to heaven. "Whatever he said, it felt like it reached into my soul," an older gentleman named Thomas remarked, his voice cracking with emotion. "I've struggled for so long. What if tonight is truly the turning point?" A wave of agreement rippled through the gathering. Instantly, Sarah knew that they all yearned for something deeper, a connection not only with each other but with the divine essence that had sparked the evening. "What if we can be those resources of light he spoke of?" Sarah called out, her voice gaining strength. "What if we commit to sharing our gifts, every single person here? Count me in." Maria, a young artist who often felt invisible, shouted with newfound enthusiasm. Her enthusiasm lit a tiny flame, drawing others into that moment. "Let us create something beautiful together." The energy shifted as people began to voice their dreams and visions, hopes that had been too timid to surface previously. Sarah felt the dynamic brewing, a tapestry of collective longing and aspiration unfurling. "Let us share what makes us feel abundant," she proposed. "Whether it's a story, a skill, a prayer. Anything that can uplift us." With a courage she didn't know she possessed, she shared her story of struggle, the challenge of feeling disconnected, and how she found solace in cooking, transforming ingredients into love served on a plate. Each thoughtful revelation turned the room into a sanctuary of faith and possibility. "Abundance feeds all of us," Sarah declared. "It's in every act of kindness." She looked around, her eyes gleaming with fervor. "Together, we can fuel a fire that no one can extinguish." As Sarah spoke, heads nodded, voices began to harmonize. Transformation was real and happening right before her eyes, each person adding their unique melody to the growing chorus. They were no longer simply guests, they were catalysts for change. A moment of silence swept through them as they absorbed the power of their collective intent. Then, with an infusion of wonder, someone suggested they dedicate one evening a week to cultivating this newfound purpose. "Let us call it Abundance Night." The name resonated like a blessing. There was a sense of movement, of embracing a divine calling among them. But as swiftly as the current of hope surged, Sarah felt a chill creep back into her heart. What if they failed? What if this was just another fleeting moment? Would they possess the vulnerability and courage to continue? As they committed to their new journey, the shadows returned, reminiscent of the figure who had vanished so mysteriously. Each heart now held a space for understanding, yet the air was thick with questions. What lies ahead on this path? Became an unspoken mantra that floated in and out of their discussions. In the midst of shared laughter and plans, Sarah felt an unfamiliar urgency. This was not merely about them, it was about the world outside, the people yearning for connection and abundance. Would their efforts reach past their small gathering and touch the lives of others? The night deepened, and with each heartbeat, they moved closer to uncovering what the divine path had in store. Sarah sensed it was just the beginning, a ripple poised to become a wave. As the gathering began to disperse, she paused, a sudden inspiration washing over her. "We need to call on what lies beyond our knowledge," she declared, her voice steady. "Let us each take a moment to pray or reflect tonight. Who knows what the Spirit might reveal to us?" As they bowed their heads in unison, the silence was thick with potential. Each individual spirit raised its voice to the heavens. What messages awaited them in the silence? What answers would emerge in prayer? The night was alive with expectation, and Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something monumental, something about to deepen their collective journey beyond mere words into divine action. The quest for abundance beckoned them ever closer, with every heartbeat a step towards revelation. The air hung thick with anticipation as the gathered souls closed their eyes, inviting whispers of guidance and illumination. Each heart beat in synchronized rhythm, a palpable energy flowing through the room like a gentle stream, weaving through shared dreams and relinquished fears. Sarah could almost hear the divine chorus, urging them toward understanding. As Sarah focused inward, she felt a warmth spread through her chest, illuminating the dark corners that had often shrouded her thoughts in doubt. The gentle glow wrapped around her, coaxing her spirit to unfurl like a delicate flower. She embraced it, breathing deeply, allowing the fervor of the moment to wash over her. Suddenly, a voice cracked through the silence, breaking the spell. It was Thomas, his eyes glimmering with unshed tears. "I remember the last time I surrendered everything to God," he began, his voice a soothing balm. He shared of a time when life had seemed unbearable, yet in the depths of despair, he had found hope. "It's as if the heavens opened up, and I suddenly knew I wasn't alone. God's abundance filled my heart." As he spoke, heads nodded in resonance. Each story shared became intently woven into the sacred fabric of their gathering. Maria added her voice, highlighting how art had allowed her to express the abundance of joy she struggled to recognize within herself. "What a gift it is," she remarked, "to turn the mundane into something sacred through creativity." Excitement crackled in the air once more, igniting hearts and minds alike. In that shared communion, those seated began to speak of dreams, long-held desires that were finally bubbling to the surface. "What if we learned to cultivate not just our own abundance," Sarah proposed, voice brimming with passion, "but also to inspire the lives of others?" Whispers rose as people brainstormed together, captivated by visions of serving their community. Some suggested food drives, others spoke of art workshops, and a few suggested a weekly prayer circle to encompass the needs of those outside their walls. Sarah was overwhelmed with gratitude. Every idea felt like a spark of divine intention, igniting a fire of purpose. Yet, somewhere, deep inside, anxiety lingered, a reminder of the previous night's shadows. Would they have the strength to stay the course? Would enthusiasm falter when the world posed challenges? She smiled despite her worries, allowing hope to crowd out uncertainty. "We don't have to do this all at once," she decreed, "but we can start today. Let us take one small step forward." In unison, they spoke, one idea blossoming into another, and soon there existed a tangible list of actions to embrace, little seeds planted with the intent to grow into something magnificent. Each member felt the energy shift again, love punctuating ideas as if heaven itself was smiling down upon them. As they wrapped their evening in prayer, Sarah noticed the flickering candle on the table between them. The flame danced with vigor, casting warm light upon their faces. It filled the room with a sense of sacred connection, the light of understanding reflected in each pair of eyes. May we be vessels of this abundance, Sarah whispered, her voice reaching out for the heavens. May our actions become the fruit of our faith. The guests began to echo her sentiment, a chorus of heartfelt vows surrounding them like a protective embrace. Together, let us be conduits of love, echoed Thomas. As they departed, Sarah felt a stirring within her. They had opened an important door, stepping into the light of divine possibility. But what awaited them on the other side? Would they face struggles or blessings? Though the night had closed, the journey was just beginning. Little did they know that the winds of change would soon blow, sweeping them toward a profound encounter that would challenge their deepest convictions. What was to come, and how would their faith be tested in the face of unexpected trials? The divine had a plan far greater than they could foresee. As dawn broke over the horizon, the first rays of sunlight streamed into Sarah's room. She awoke with a heart full of hope, though the apprehension of the previous night lingered like a shadow at the edges of her mind. Today, she would gather with her friends to take those first steps toward their communal aspirations. Little did they know how close they were to the lessons the universe was ready to reveal. After breakfast, thoughts swirled around her like autumn leaves caught in the wind. Each idea from the night before felt like a thread connecting her to something vast and meaningful. She arrived at the community center, filled with anticipation. The volunteers were already there, chatting and shifting supplies, laughter bubbling up like a stream. Good morning. Maria greeted her with an embrace that radiated warmth. I can't wait to see how we can put our plan into action. What a beautiful day to start serving. Sarah's heart soared. Together, they were embarking on something far more significant than individual actions. They were sharing a divine purpose. But as they gathered around the table to strategize, a strange unease settled over her. Would they be able to overcome the barriers of self-doubt and societal indifference? They spent the morning organizing ideas into a schedule, each person contributing their unique talents. Thomas took the lead in charting out the food drive logistics, his excitement palpable. Imagine the faces of those who will receive this food. We can be the hands and feet of Jesus to those in need. His fervor stirred something inside Sarah, hope flickered into a flame. She offered suggestions for the art workshops, envisioning not just creation but healing. As the hours passed, each conversation became a bridge, connecting dreams to reality. Ideas flowed like water, each one shimmering with possibility. Then, in the midst of laughter and warmth, an unexpected interruption pulsed through the air. An older man stepped across the threshold, his face lined with weariness, eyes searching. A silence fell over the room as their collective gaze landed on him. "Excuse me," he said, his voice rough yet sincere. "I heard there were kind souls here willing to help. I haven't tea eaten in days." At that moment, Sarah could feel her heart racing. Would they step forward, or would uncertainty hold them back? Thomas took a deep breath, breaking the stillness. "Let us help him," he spoke gently, determination in his eyes. He reached for the man's hand. In that instant, an unexplainable peace flooded the atmosphere. What began as the fear of vulnerability transformed into a powerful realization of purpose. The man's humble request ignited within them a collective resolve to act. They rushed to the pantry, filling bags with food, each item a token of love. As they handed him the care package, Sarah noticed tears welling in the man's eyes. "Thank you," he murmured, his voice shaking. "You have no idea how much this means." At that moment, Sarah understood their actions sparked not only a moment of relief but a sharing of divine wealth that was meant to flow and multiply. It wasn't merely about the food, it was about the love woven into each gesture. As he walked away, a hush fell, replaced by murmurs of quiet awe. The air felt charged, as though they had touched the divine. Sarah's mind raced with thoughts of their mission. Were they just beginning to scratch the surface of something monumental? Their gathering continued, but now there was an undercurrent of something deeper. The challenges ahead loomed larger, yes, but so did the potential for transformation and grace. With the promise of more revelations on the horizon, she found herself yearning to grasp every lesson. What other insights would the day hold? What else would they learn about divine abundance? The wind seemed to whisper unseen mysteries. Little did they know that their journey had set the stage for encounters and lessons they had not yet imagined, and the ultimate test of their newfound faith awaited just around the corner. The sun climbed higher, casting golden rays through the large windows of the community center, illuminating the faces of those gathered. Sarah felt an electric energy crackling in the air, a mix of anticipation and determination. Their plans had been set in motion, yet the morning's unexpected encounter lingered within her heart like a haunting melody. As the volunteers continued discussing their initiatives, Sarah's mind wandered back to the man they had helped. What if we could do even more? She thought. What if this was just the beginning? Maria's voice cut through her reverie. Let us brainstorm some more ways we can reach out. We need to think big. Each suggestion was met with enthusiasm. Ideas of community cookouts, art therapy sessions, and mobile food pantries sprang forth like flowers in spring. But pulse quickened as Sarah spoke. What if we create a Community Connections Day? A place where everyone in the neighborhood can come together. Food, fun, and a chance to talk to each other. The room erupted with cheers and nods of agreement. They could feel the warm embrace of shared purpose, like the warmth from a flickering candle. Sarah's heart swelled with joy. This was not just about projects, it was about building a community where love and support blossomed. As they continued planning, an excited chatter filled the space, resonating with laughter and hope. Yet, over in the corner, old Mrs. Green shuffled in, her frail frame weighed down by grocery bags. She often sat alone, watching from the periphery. "Hello, dears," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I thought I might bring these to share." She pulled out several canned goods, the familiar shine of items promising to nourish, yet Sarah could see the way Mrs. Green's hands shook, the way her eyes fluttered with shyness. Instantly, an ember ignited within Sarah. Every small contribution counts, Mrs. Green. What if we all contributed, even a little? A chorus of agreements followed, and soon bags began to fill with food not just from the pantry, but the contributions of every volunteer. The energy of the room surged as the act of giving turned into a communal effort. It became a dance of generosity, where no one felt too small or too weak to make a difference. Sarah sensed that this was how divine abundance flowed. Just as they finished, laughter spilled into the hallway. A group of children had wandered in, faces alight with curiosity. "What are you doing?" one boy asked, eyes wide as they looked at the food. "Well, we're getting ready to help our neighbors," Maria replied, kneeling to meet his gaze. "You can help us, too. We're all part of this family." The children beamed, running to grab their own items from home. In that instant, Sarah realized the ripple effect of kindness, the way it spread unbound like sunlight breaking through clouds. As they wrapped up their planning, something deep inside Sarah stirred once more. What greater lessons await us? She wondered. What would they discover as they journeyed deeper into this mission together? Outside, the soft breeze rustled the trees, whispering secrets yet unveiled. Sarah felt a pull in her spirit. This felt like a divine unfolding, each interaction a stitch weaving a grand tapestry of love and connection. Yet, as they shared warm goodbyes at the end of their meeting, a nagging thought came to her: what if they were about to face something far beyond their plans? Something that would truly test the fabric of their faith and unity. With the sun setting and shadows growing long, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that tomorrow would bring the first hint of a grand revelation. Would they be ready for what was about to come? The dawn broke with a soft glow, wrapping the world in a gentle embrace. Sarah's heart fluttered as she rose, the anticipation from the previous day still resonating within her. Today felt different, the air tingled with promise and possibility. As she made her way to the community center, the streets buzzed with life. She encountered neighbors who greeted her with smiles, their eyes shining with the shared hope of something transformative on the horizon. It was more than just a sunny day, it was as if the whole world was aligning for their moment of connection. Arriving at the center, Sarah was met with the familiar sound of laughter and chatter. The others had already begun unpacking supplies for their first Community Connections Day. The room hummed with excitement, and in spite of her usual eagerness, Sarah felt a tugging worry at the edge of her heart. Was the vision truly enough? Would these efforts reach beyond surface-level connections? Maria approached, her arms full of colorful decorations. "Look at all these!" she exclaimed, her voice like music. "Can you feel it, Sarah? This is the beginning of something beautiful." Sarah nodded, but her inner thoughts lingered, shadowed by an inkling that they were on the cusp of something deeper. As noon approached, families began to arrive. Elderly couples, energetic children, and curious teens flooded in, their laughter echoing like hymns of joy. The tables transformed with pots of homemade dishes and bowls of fresh fruit, each item bearing the unique touch of love from whoever contributed it. They were creating a feast not just for the body, but for the spirit. An unexpected hush fell over the room as Sarah stood to speak. She could feel a divine presence wrapping around the gathering, lifting her heart and steadying her voice. "Today is about more than just food and fun," she began, her gaze settling on each person. "It's about building bonds and sharing our hearts. Every person here has a story, a unique tale that adds to this beautiful tapestry we're creating together." Applause erupted, melting her initial fears. But then, from the back of the room, an unsettling voice broke through the cheers. "Why does it matter?" A young man, eyes darkened by skepticism, stood acknowledging the crowd. "Isn't it all just a distraction? We still face struggles tomorrow. Will this change anything?" A hush fell again, thicker this time, hanging heavy in the air. Sarah felt the weight of his words settle on her. The laughter quieted, and a ripple of unease passed through the crowd. Was this indeed just a moment of fleeting joy? She looked for Maria or another leader to step in, but deep within, she sensed that this moment was hers to navigate. "Thank you for sharing your honesty," Sarah said slowly. "It's true, life can be hard. But today gives us a chance to stand together, to share kindness when so much seems uncertain. Sometimes, that small spark of love can ignite a fire of change. We don't just share food, we share hope. Remember, the smallest of gestures can create waves in this world." The room seemed to hold its breath, hearts open, souls reaching toward the divine warmth of connection. One by one, heads began to nod, and murmurs of agreement stirred in harmony. The young man's posture softened, uncertainty shifting into something more approachable. "Let us remember," she continued, "that love builds bridges where nothing seemed possible. Together, we can help one another face the struggles ahead. It's in our unity that we find strength." As she stepped back, her heart hammered fiercely. By speaking up, had she invited something new to the forefront? Would they be willing to lean into vulnerability and trust? In that sacred moment, Sarah glimpsed a flicker of divine truth not only in her own heart but in the warmth spreading through the crowd. What awaited them beyond this day? What other lessons lay woven into their journey? Just as laughter resumed, the unexpected happened. The lights flickered, dimming momentarily before bursting back to life with an added vibrancy. The sensation was electric. Crackling in the air, and an inexplicable hush accompanied it. With every heart wide open, curious eyes revealed not only wonder but also a transformative potential. What divine revelations awaited them in the moments to follow? As Sarah glanced toward the horizon of possibilities, she couldn't shake the thought that perhaps they were on the brink of a profound shift, something that would redefine their mission completely. As the laughter returned to the community center, the renewed energy felt enchanting. The flickering lights seemed like a sacred invitation, a divine wink from above. Sarah could hardly contain her excitement mixed with the realization of something monumental unfolding. Children scampered around, their laughter a joyful symphony, while adults engaged in conversation that shimmered with warmth. The food was shared like blessings from heaven, each bite an act of love. Still, a barely perceptible whisper lingered in Sarah's mind. What awaits beyond today? Moments turned into hours, and with every story spun, every bond deepened, Sarah felt a shift within herself. The young man's skepticism hung in the air but seemed to dissipate as the community embraced the joy shared. Sarah stood witnessing the transformation, her heart swelling with gratitude for the connections forged that day. Then, without warning, a gentle hush enveloped the room once more as Mrs. Thompson approached with a hesitant smile. She cleared her throat, her voice trembling slightly. "Can I share something?" Heads turned, the atmosphere tightening with anticipation. Of course. Sarah encouraged, her heart racing for what wisdom might follow. Mrs. Thompson began to recount her life's journey, the loneliness she had once felt and how unexpected gestures of kindness from neighbors had lifted her spirits. You see, kindness doesn't just feed the body, it nourishes the soul, she said, her eyes glistening. Sarah felt the heaviness shatter. The essence of their gathering was blooming like wildflowers in spring. People began to stand, sharing their stories in a cascade of vulnerability, honesty, and strength. Each person's truth was met with a chorus of encouragement, pain transformed into shared healing. This was no longer just a meal, it was a celebration of community, of abundance flowing in unexpected ways. Amidst the warmth of connection, it dawned on Sarah the true manifestation of Abdullah's teachings was taking life within them. She felt the lessons wrapping around her like a cherished cloak, embedding itself deep into her spirit. Suddenly, they heard a familiar sound, the quick patter of small feet. From the doorway, a group of children erupted in giggles, drumming up the energy of playful innocence. With them stood a cluster of elders from the neighborhood, bravely approaching the ensemble. To everyone's surprise, they began to sing a sweet melody of gratitude that echoed through the room, lifting spirits higher. Sarah couldn't help but join in. Her voice melded with that of her friends, a melody of abundance, togetherness, and faith. Hands joined together, hearts intertwined, they transformed the center into a sanctuary of praise, a living testament to the power of kindness and the spirit of community. As their song softened, a profound silence replaced the joyous music. With bated breath, they felt it, a divine presence flooding the space, an awakening that stirred the air. Sarah raised her eyes, scanning the faces around her. Every soul shone with light, each eyes alight with possibility. In that profound silence, the thought struck Sarah, was this the grand revelation she was seeking? Then came the voice, the same warm tone she had encountered before. It resonated through her heart like a drumbeat. This is the reward, dear ones, the figure proclaimed, standing gracefully at the periphery. Every act of love, every connection you make, expands the realm of abundance. You've ignited a flame that only grows brighter. Tears of joy streamed down Sarah's face. She felt as though a veil lifted, revealing truths that had lain buried. In every heart lay the potential to love and to share, to uplift one another. Together, we can create the divine fabric of abundance, she whispered, the words emboldening her spirit. The figure continued, commit to one another. Embrace vulnerability. You've taken the first step, let your courage lead the way. The air vibrated with understanding. At that moment, Sarah grasped the magnitude of their mission. It wasn't just to provide, it was to create, to inspire, to be conduits of divine blessings in every pursuit. As the figure stepped into the shadows once more, the crowd remained hushed, absorbing the sentiments of the day, a moment where the outer and inner worlds aligned. Sarah surveyed the room, her gaze settling on each person with purpose. Let us carry this forward. Let us make this a ripple that expands beyond our circle, she proclaimed, exhilaration buzzing in her core. Let us reach every heart, ensuring that no one feels alone in this journey. Voices erupted in zeal, expressions ignited by hope. It was a call to arms. Their faith would become action, woven into a larger narrative where abundance thrived. With every shared decision, laughter echoed, but beneath it lay an unshakable commitment. They were embarking on a divine adventure to foster a community where love and connection flourished. And so, the journey began anew, each step a declaration of faith. This was no fleeting moment, this was the beginning of an adventure into divine truths, a life devoted to sharing, lifting, and embracing the abundance surrounding them. Little did they know, trials would soon test the resolve forged in this newfound strength. But for now, they celebrated not just what they had done, but who they had become. Abundance had awakened within each of them, a journey that promised to stretch far beyond what they could imagine. Now, the moment is upon you. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let it bless others with this good news. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this incredible ending. Share your own story of divine abundance. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of hope and community. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second.